How you doing, folks? My name is Kim Johnson, and again, I'm making this video in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I want to say hello to everybody out there, and I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. And I know a lot of you have made a lot of New Year's resolutions that you want to keep. This is the brand new year, and I want to say be blessed. Keep family first. You also have a lot of church members too who's fasting during this time as the new year comes in. Fasting. Okay. Fasting to be closer to God, fasting to do things in a different way this year. And they're bringing the new year in with fasting. And I want to read this scripture to you right now. It comes from the book of Isaiah chapter 58 verse 6. I'm reading the verse 6 of chapter 58. It says, "Is not this the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke?" Verse 8 of Isaiah chapter 58 says, and I read down, verse 8 of chapter 58. It says, "Then shall thy light break forth as the morning, when you fast the way that God wants you to fast, and thine health, Health, shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward." Okay. Verse 9 says, "Then shalt thou call, and the Lord shall answer. Thou shalt cry, and he shall say, Here I am. If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, and the putting forth a finger, and speaking vanity." And I'm going to stop right there. Fasting. You're bringing the new year in with fasting because you want to change. And when you fast, right, fasting has a lot of good things that it does for you. Not only do it clear the skin up, but when you fast, you usually don't eat. And one of the particular scriptures that I remember was over in one of the Gospels that said, "When you fast, do not show other people that you are fasting, but go into your closet, and your Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Do not appear that you're fasting, but put water on your face. Do it not that other people may see it, but that only God knows that you're fasting." That means you don't have to go around talking about I'm fasting and I can't touch that. But that's between you and God. It's a secret thing. Okay? With the promises in that too, that thy health, Health, shall spring forth speedily. That's what it says. And the light of God will be on your countenance. This is a true thing. Prayer that changes. And other people will notice a difference in your life. Now I'm saying that to say this. There was a person that told me he had purchased a book from a fella in Atlantic City, whoever, a pastor, or he might have been a pastor, might have just been a church member, who wrote a book on fasting. And so you have a lot of people in the communities now that are beginning to write books and different things on the events in their life. And I suggest, right, that you read some of that, because black people are still creating today. They're still creating, still doing things in the communities, and they still need to be recognized that they are still in the fight for what they're trying to obtain. Okay, so he wrote a book on fasting, how to fast. Talked about, I believe the book talked about some of the same scriptures that I just read. Okay, the glory of the Lord, not your glory or man's glory that's going to say you're doing a good job. No, not man's glory, but the pat on the back is going to come from God. The rewards is going to come from him, because you fasted the way that he wanted you to fast. Oh, but I got a very, very important thing to tell you too. You know I got something to tell you. So you begin to fast. I met a person who said he was fasting but in his character, something wanted him to fast to be a witch. In other words, this is how it was explained. He was fasting to be not loose from the bonds of wickedness, but to be entangled by the bonds of wickedness. In other words, Lord, I'm fasting to be in bondage. Oh, I know the deacon board hate me saying that one. I know you do. So the book by the pastor in Atlantic City, it has no effect, does it, on anybody that's being led to fast in the opposite direction in order to get another result in your life. It sounds like another trick of Brother and Sister Penny. Now I know the deacon board don't like this, Brother and Sister Penny. That's what it sounds like to me. To fast in the opposite direction to get a different result. You was trying to fast to be a witch, huh? No. Well, I don't think you was trying to fast, or you was being led to fast to be that. You was probably being led to fast to be bipolar and schizophrenia. So you can run down to the hospital crazy in your mind for doing things that way. But nobody was able to tell you this. So you just happened just to be talking one day and a person said, well, could you share that with me again? Who you think I'm talking about? What happens and what answer do God have for the person that you was trying to lead to fast in the wrong way? I'm fasting in the opposite way to be different, to produce a different glory on my face, to produce a different character in my life. I'm fasting to be entangled by the yoke of bondage. And the deacon board and the reverend is trying to get away because they knew that it happened. That's the deacon board. And the bishop with him with the fivefold ministry gifts. Let's talk about it. But see, when you stand up in a church congregation and you mention that to them, they act like that is crazy. Oh, oh man, what could be wrong with you? That means that Brother and Sister Penny is playing with the temple of God. Now, it goes back to the videos that I've been making. This is exactly what's been going on. You're trying to produce a bipolar and schizophrenia person, right? And see, there's a lot of dangers in there. Now, what do you think that type of teaching comes from, my audience? It comes from people who study the Bible. That's where it comes from. So what solution do you have? What solution, right, would the pastor have who wrote the book on fasting to better people's life in Atlantic City, New Jersey, man? Can you please explain it to me like I'm a 2-year-old? Because that's what you did. Okay? So out of that, you discourage the person from fasting. You could discourage the person from giving. Fasting to be in bondage. I'm fasting to be hooked in addictions, alcoholism, drug addiction. I'm fasting to be in all of that. So if the jackleg preacher know that's going on, then what solution would the jackleg preacher offer? Well, these days they got us an answer for that. Well, I've been keeping Psalms 23 in my pocket. The Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. And I'm going to teach you how to say that. See, it's beginning to be some type of money scheme now. Brother and Sister Penny at their little work again. So what solution do you have for that? Well, first of all, if you think that God is going to let you hold him bondage by a book that you interpret, then you must be crazy. Because the light on the moon is not made by Thomas Edison. Neither is the sun. That type of heat don't come from your oven. So whatever hands made that is totally different from yours, and it's not going to let you try to twist creation into something else. Then pretty soon you'll be telling how babies need to be born. This is a fool. And the only solution they have for that is the asylum. Meaning you're going to go to some type of nut house because it's not going on. I don't know what you're talking about. You must be crazy. There ain't nobody doing nothing like that. But if you are in a situation like that today, my audience, and they're still taking insurance payments from you. See, some elements you don't even have to go to the hospital for. Some elements you don't. And the way that hospitals are playing with people today is really truly against the law. But see, half of the people they play with have a problem explaining things. So they'll play with the words that come out of their mouth. Are you trying to say this? Are you trying to say that? Well, I don't think that means that. I think it means this. So how do you think the person started their new years off? If they can't fast, if they can't get closer to God. See, you have some people, and you don't need to be worried, or audience. You don't need to be worried about that. Oh, no. See, this is not a scare tactic. See, people use scare tactics. Oh, the world is coming to an end. The microchip is in the world, and this and that's going on. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. It's going to be perilous times. It's nothing but some type of money scheme and some type of game. And then you'll find yourself acting just like the movie is Jesus of Nazareth. You'll be praying. Oh, Lord. It's going to happen. Crying and stuff. You understand? And it's all a lie. God is not going to let some jackleg preacher reverse his creation. He's not going to do it. I don't care what type of gadget he got. He'll deal with the situation. But see, usually these days church members ain't got no type of prayer to get somebody out of something like that. You understand something? You in church with the preacher. You scared to fast. It sounds like somebody has been detailing your life on what they think has made you stood this long, young man and young woman. You know your preacher ain't telling you nothing like this. See, this is the new Selma. Oh yeah. See, I can talk about all the things in the past that black people went through. But what about the things that black people are overcoming today? What happens to the information that somebody gave you 20 years ago for today? In other words, they spoke something to you in the past and they were speaking up in 2018. Go back and tell that person thank you. This is what happened, man. We was talking years ago, right? And what you said that day helped me for today. And it was for today that you said that. That could make a person feel good because you don't know what that person's going through. They playing with fasting now. Fasting. To make the countenance of people into something totally different. Our brother and sister Penny. Oh, boy. But they're going to run into something that they ain't never ran into. That's coming down the pike for them, too. So, it sounds like that somebody was trying to make you crazy. And I'm especially talking to North Carolina. You know I'm talking to you. North Carolina. Who think that some things are just so impossible to get through. I don't know how you go do it. But you can get up in church on Sunday mornings and talk about how God bless you with this. And I don't know how I was going to pay the rent. But the Lord sent me a check in the mail. And I'm not saying that don't happen because it do happen. Well, that's a miracle, right? So what happens if somebody tells you a testimony like this in church and they get up and tell you, well, this is what went on and this is what I did to overcome that? That means they have limited God. Well, you can't put no limits on that. You can only put the limits on you. I'm saying to the person, right, be encouraged. God is not going to allow somebody to reverse his creation. God is not telling nobody to go out and test you. He's not doing nothing like that. Let me explain one thing to you. So you have a whole lot of people that misunderstand this, that God is testing you. That's one of the words of the jackleg preacher again. God is testing you to see how strong your faith is. Let me explain something to you. The Bible don't say that God is testing you. God cannot be tempted with evil, neither does he tempt anyone. That's been a lie for years. But each man is tempted by his own lusts when he is led away, right? That's what it says, right? That means that you have people who know this book, who know it, right? And they use people. But if you let the wisdom of God tell you, and the wisdom of God does speak to you, it's still speaking today. I know they hate that it's still speaking. It'll tell you all about people. Who to stay away from, who the con men are. I'm writing a book myself on relationships. I should have been finished it. But I haven't finished it. It's written, but I just haven't put it on the inside cover of the book yet. Hopefully that'll be out in another month. But my schedule's been so busy. But I just said that because people are bringing in the new year with fasting because they want a change. They want to be different on the job. They don't want things around them that's going to hinder them. You understand that? See, fasting can change all of that. And fasting does change things. Don't you think that psychologists don't know that? Don't you think that hasn't been tested, that fasting changes things? It does. It changes things, and psychologists know it. If fasting changes things, ain't the psychology of God greater than a human being's? But see, they've been used to taking bribes and money for so long from people's pockets, right, that they pay no attention to that. You see, God is not worried about your church building standing. He ain't worried about that. Whether you got an elevator in there or you got a mega church with 5 million people in there, he's not concerned about that. He's concerned about that one person that you're messing with. And these days, if you're making an inspiring video, you can't let people rush you into making it. You got to be careful about that. Because God does not push nobody doing anything. If you find yourself pushed to do something in an area like that, then it's not of God. You are under demonic control, and it's demons in it. And that's what it is. I have a whole lot more this year to tell you about. Fasting. Your foundation, you didn't give it to you anyway. But you have people that would challenge the foundation of God and say that they gave you the foundation, won't they? You have idiots everywhere you go who will say that. Well, I helped that person. See, it is possible that God could have used other people to help you, and they didn't even know he was using them. And they'll come and try to take credit for what he did, when you judge as much as an infidel was before you was worse off than he was if you say you helped him, or she was before you say you helped her. I'm saying be encouraged. If you have a problem with fasting, and you feel like that somebody is trying to lead you to fast the wrong way, to be in bondage, like you losing your mind and you feel like tearing your hair out, oh boy, there's people today that you can talk to. See, there's people in the community that don't mind talking to people like that, who can give you a solution for your situation so that you can go home in peace and don't mind talking to you over and over again. All right? Because usually the ones that avoid you is the ones that's in it. And I'm saying be encouraged. Right? God bless you, and I'll be making more of these. Have a great year. Thank you very much.